You're there?
All right.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you.
Okay. I will, with a small group, I'm not going to bother to mute everybody, but if you want to be muted, of course, feel free. And on that note, I will go ahead and start. I am Kurt Meyer, Assistant Director of Content Development and Preservation at LLMC. And I'm going to give you a nice brief update on what LLMC is, the type of content we offer, and some things you can expect to see in the future. Just to give you a little bit of background on myself, I've worked at different academic law libraries throughout the years. I started off at the University of Maryland, then went out to Washington State, Gonzaga, and then somehow ended up in Minnesota. And that was when I came to LLMC, because the company at the time was moving from Hawaii to Minnesota, and people who are used to living in Hawaii tend not to like Minnesota weather. So this job opened up, and now here I am 5 years later. So the company was founded in the 1970s, and the idea was it would be a microfiche production company. So the founder had this kind of ingenious idea. He was at the University of Hawaii, and his idea was he would have law libraries ship, rare or historical books to Hawaii. They would get filmed. Then he would turn that into microfiche, and then he would sell the microfiche to law libraries around the world at a low cost. And this kind of worked out great as a business model for a long time, because all these law libraries and academic libraries and firm libraries, throughout the world would get access to this hard to find content on fiche. Then the internet happened, and the founder realized that fiche microform was probably not going to be a good business model going forward. And to his credit, he skipped CDs, no compact discs, none of that stuff. And in 2005, the company went from microform straight to digital. And that's what you're seeing today is LLMC Digital. The name is actually kind of a hangover, because at that time there were two things the company did: the microform and the online product. Now they're increasingly becoming merged, but we still call it LLMC Digital. So given that background, please know that the content we have is pretty unique. It can be niche sometimes. When I was a reference and research librarian, though, this site saved me many, many times. I took credit for just knowing it existed, because there were hard to find items, stuff I couldn't find anywhere else, even Hein. LLMC ended up having it. And, as the person most primarily responsible for collection development, that's even more true now. We've enhanced this product so much over the years. I'm really, really proud of it. So to navigate LLMC, it's a little different than what you might be used to. Oh, I forgot. I have to tell you how to get to LLMC to begin with. If you go to the NYLI.org page and then mouse over electronic resources, you'll see a link for us right there. Then we'll click on that, click on go to LLMC Digital, and then you'll be on the homepage. So now you've done that and you want to jump in and do some research. How do you do that? Of course, it depends on the information you're starting off with. I think one of the best things you can do is just to scroll over the online services tab. And if perchance you have a title, I suspect that is what you'll be starting off with in many cases, just click on title search. And then you can put in whatever you want here. I use this as kind of a stock example because it is so specific. It's every single time. Put your title in, and then if we actually have it, it'll say, hey, a search result came up, it's online, this is what collection it's in. Click on that. You'll get the some of the cataloging information. We'll talk more about cataloging later. And then we can go in at the volume level right here. In the last 3 years, we've updated our document interface, so it's a lot better than it used to be. I'm really proud of this. And you can see the scans look nice and clean, etc. So if you have a title, that's a really good, quick way to start off. If you don't have a title, let's say you have something like a historical event, the abstract search is actually a really good way to start. A little background on the abstracts. We don't just offer content. We catalog and abstract every title that goes online. We do that free of charge, or I should say included with the regular membership fee. No extra charge for that type of metadata. And we can kind of do that because we're a nonprofit. So these abstracts are written by, in many cases, somebody with a library background or a legal background. One person who writes them is a formal legal writing professor. So you can kind of anticipate the things they're going to flag in the abstract. So if you know you're a law librarian or a lawyer, a certain thing would likely, show up like a historical event, just search for that in the abstract field here and just see what comes up. So we've got a lot of historical US documents, and I know based on the fact that a legal writing professor who loves history wrote these, anytime the Boston Tea Party is referenced in one of our documents, it's also going to be in the abstract too. So this is a really effective way to search. It kind of reminds me of a few times I used to go into the index to legal periodicals to actually search the index. I just know a professional wrote those abstracts just like the ILP, and I can search those for specific terms. So that's another quick and easy way to find information on LLMC. Another option you have is just straight up browsing our collections. We organize things by jurisdiction, sometimes subject. There are a lot of internal discussions going on about kind of standardizing this. We do recognize the need for that. But you can see our collection trees on the highest level right here. And we'll just go into Canada. You just essentially keep drilling down, provinces and territories, Ontario. And then you can see this is the loan title we have for constitutional Ontario materials. And then you can go in at the title or volume level after that. So that's a pretty effective way just to browse. Maybe I'll try a better example. I know what would be appropriate. These are all of our Mexican collections. So this is everything we have on the federal and then state level. I have put many of these in myself with my own two hands, but we have a lot of materials from Mexico. And just if you like history and things, some of these have signatures of important people from the time period they were published in, so they're kind of neat to look at. But that's another easy way to find materials in LLMC. Now, you also can search. You have various functionalities on LLMC. searching various topics, words and things like that. And I'll show you that now. Before I do though, as I mentioned, we catalog every single title that goes online, high quality MARC records. You can also, search the catalog. Sometimes this day and age, maybe we forget to do that as much as we should. And, again, you're searching a catalog record. So just, use your expertise, keep that in mind. So when you search for an author, put that in the format we're all used to actually get a result. It's, not too forgiving, searching a catalog record. And then you'll get, get results if we have a catalog record for them.
Sorry to interrupt, Karen. Is there any thought to merging this catalog with NYLI's? Sorry, Karen, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes. Say that again.
Was there any thought of, or is it feasible to merge this catalog with NYLI's online catalog? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Some people do and some do not. I once spent a day training with someone at Fordham on how to do that through knowledge base, and I could not believe how much work goes into that. So
Okay.
I can tell you the University of Minnesota has ingested all the records, if that is helpful at all.
And they keep it updated?
They're very good about it. I check.
How do you, well, you can continue with your regular instruction, but I'm fascinated by that. University of Minnesota. Law school.
I thought it was the law school, and then I called over there one day. I've got connections, obviously. And the cataloger in the law library said, I don't know who does that. It must be somebody at the main library. But whoever it is on top of things. I can tell you that. So, because I can check when we get a new title catalog and then see if it's in their catalog, and then I know. So,
Right.
So yes, you can search by author name, and then I kind of forgot, this takes you to this rather interesting legal chemistry book about poisons and things. But this is a treatise from 1876, which you can access if you get curious about poisons and things. So so we also have just straight up search functionality as well. We've got you click on search collections, and then you'll be taken here, and you have kind of the standard three box search format you've been seeing for a long time, with simple logic options and or not near, and that kind of just is true in different places. I'll show you, but this is essentially what you're going to be working with when you search the whole database or a specific collection. We do have a basic and advanced search option. Basic search, or I should say the distinction is a little unintuitive in my opinion. Basic search allows you to search down one collection tree. So we can go into US states and territories, pick Minnesota, and then if we put something in here, we'll be searching all of Minnesota for the word Dayton. And in that sense, this is a basic search. If you go back and then click on advanced search, this gives you the option to search across different collection trees. And this is super useful because of some of the stuff we have. We have like really uniquely strong collections of state legislative materials going back to colonial times. So think about that, in territorial. So you can actually construct a search across different colonies and territories for something if you were getting into that. And I do know, and you know, in a practice environment, you're not going to be doing hardcore historical research like that often. But if it comes up, just know that you do have that option in LLMC. So I can go into like New Jersey and just keep drilling down and search in the higher level collection dividers, go into specific titles and just keep checking them off. Treatise if I want to, and historical newspapers. And then also do, you know, all New York legislative and executive materials and just see what I get. Using a couple unique New Jersey and New York town names. And then, you know, I'm getting every single document from those two collection trees that I selected, telling me, with those terms in them. I do have a cheat sheet for the spelling of those town names. I don't. The second one, I'm not sure I would have gotten on my own. So you do have that option too. That's a pretty effective way to search. I don't search a lot, but when I do, tends to be just like I showed you. It's either the advanced search or the basic search, and then I'll do like an exact phrase search or something like that. At this point, I kind of know off the top of my head what's in here, so I don't need to, but you don't. So these are some effective methods for finding out whether we have something. We also have some strong records and briefs collections. These are growing, and the idea here, this is kind of how these go most of the time, is we'll get a donating library. It's typically a county or an academic library, and they've got a large records and briefs collection that's causing them some kind of space or preservation issues. So they're looking for a solution. And years ago, way before my time, we partnered with Google Books to scan these. So the way that works is we kind of act as a go-between. The donating library will send the records and briefs to Google Books, and we kind of help them manage the project. We say what metadata we want to get to capture from each document, and then they digitize them, either send it back or preserve them. And then we both have a set of the records and briefs online. And the difference between LLMC and Google is we use all of the metadata, the stuff a law lawyer or a lawyer would expect to search off of, we have. And Google Books doesn't quite have that. I test it out periodically and can be close, but it's all based on algorithms. So it can be a little fuzzy. So we've got the first project, which is New York records and briefs. We have an older collection that does unfortunately have some metadata issues, but they are up here. It's just the coverage is a little spotty for these years. So you can search here. And this is an old products liability case I read about in law school, and it's kind of neat to see the briefs on here. And here they are. Good scans. The presentation's a little weird, but again, like I said, this is the first records and briefs project we did. Oops. We also have California records and briefs. Each project is a little different. The donating library has a lot of input on the metadata that's captured, so that's why the interface changes each time. LA Law Library donated these. And I can tell you that they have all of the briefs for the OJ trial. They're here. I've seen them in person too. LA wanted all the records and briefs back from Google, so they're there safe and sound in downtown LA. But you can search for those. And this collection's kind of nice because they really go into a lot of detail with different brief types and things like that. There's also my favorite, the Seventh Circuit. These came from the University of Illinois. They were in the basement for years. Again, a preservation issue because they kept getting misshelved. You know, once something like this, which is organized by docket number, gets put in a random place, no one can find it again. So these are digitized. And then we have some new ones like New York and Pennsylvania. And again, you can just search full text, party name, what have you. So those are growing. I think we may get some new states rather soon. Google has a backlog of scanning right now, as I'm sure you can imagine, due to the pandemic, but they are getting caught up. And I expect to see those collections grow quickly. Some other things I want to show you. We just started this a couple years ago. It's the Indigenous Law Portal. This is actually available open access, so you don't need to log in through NYLI to get there. You can just go straight to our website, LLMC.com. And this is kind of an interesting project. It originally was on the Library of Congress page. And the idea was it would aggregate Indigenous resources from around the US and Canada and ultimately the world. Unfortunately, that's a lot of work because websites go up and down, resources change, things get updated and deleted. And I think it was just maybe one person working on it. So they approached us and they said, is there any way you could take this on? It's certainly a valuable effort, but you know, we're having some trouble keeping up with it. So the chair of our board came up with kind of an ingenious idea to crowdsource this, and there's a whole back end for experts to update this, and it's gone very well. You know, there aren't dead links. We review those periodically with an automatic link checker, and it's just growing and growing and growing. So it's organized with LC subject headings, and you start off like here, and you're at, you know, a very general level. Keep drilling down by jurisdiction, and you know, you can see all these Indigenous resources. We've got treaties and primary sources, and you know, ordinances, and you know, tribal constitutions. They're all right here. One really cool thing we do is we preserve them digitally. If it's a primary source, we use PermaCC, which is hosted by Harvard. The idea being they would kind of create a permanent solution for born digital documents. It's not going anywhere. We figure Harvard isn't going anywhere, so PermaCC won't. And this allows us to preserve materials like this, because previously they would get linked in the portal, and then if they got taken down or updated, they just disappeared essentially. So as I said, this is growing. One of the newest additions is the circumpolar map. So you can see this is slick. You can, you know, click on Russia, and then you know, this is new, so there's not much here, but you know, we do have one link here, and it takes you to this site. So it's a good, useful resource if you are researching Indigenous law or things related to it. It's all aggregated right here. Along the same lines, if just so you know, we started reorganizing all of our collections, and we have an Indigenous law collection tree now. This made a lot more sense because the way we organized things before was kind of problematic, given what we did to the tribes. You know, putting one tribe that was forced from one area into another, it's like, where do you put them? I think the way we were organizing them wasn't quite right. So we're starting to organize them
Nice.
from the perspective of the tribes now, is
That's
essentially
great.
what we're doing. Yes.
That is
And that's
great.
a big project Joe and Richard are working on. And we're also digitizing all of our indigenous fiche too. So this stuff is growing by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to go a little off script here. Another special collection we have. You are the first group I've mentioned this to. We have an agreement with the American Association of Law Libraries to digitize their archive, which once again was housed in Champaign, Illinois, at the Law Library, under lock and key, which I always would look at when I was a student there. And they shipped the whole collection up here at the end of 2020. Due to some pandemic issues, we really didn't get started scanning it until the end of essentially last year. So I just want to show you some of these because they're just really interesting. We have a couple papers from past presidents online.
Nice.
Yeah. And, you know, oh, Karen, some of these letters were sent from the NYLI office at Vesey Street. I mean, I saw these and I was like, I was just there. This was sent 70 years ago. But these are online, and we give you a catalog record with an abstract right here, so it kind of gives you a guide on what's going on. And then these are the scans.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Wow. Oh man.
So yeah, if you have spare time, look at these. There's enough of them online. I feel comfortable promoting it now.
Yep.
I think it's in the Hibernia Tuberville papers. There's a letter from I think it was hers. There's a letter from Professor Posner complaining about being on some ALS library committee, and he kept getting nominated for it, and he didn't want to be on it. So yeah, these are online, and I'm really enjoying processing these. So so just know that this is going to grow very quickly in the near future. Then I'll just highlight a few other things that I think maybe a little more useful and less fun, but that is necessary sometimes. I mentioned our state legislative collections before. We are digitizing this collection of film called the Early State Records Collection, and it was created in the 1940s by the Library of Congress and the University of North Carolina, with the idea being they would film state legislative materials from all the lower 48 states. So this guy literally went around the country in a van with filming equipment, going to all these court, academic, and other law libraries to film this stuff. And then the project just grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. So I'm going to highlight the legislative materials right now, but just know there's a lot more. I'll probably get into some of the other documents, but just know there's a lot more. So let's go to New York. Legislative. So here we've got, a variety of different publications. I think some of these are slip laws. Then we've got session laws from a super long time ago. And some of these actually go back to when the Dutch owned New York. It's pretty interesting stuff. And here we have the New York Assembly Journal. And this goes, all the way back to 1692. And I'm not trying to make you sick. I just want to show you you know, then it goes to the 20th century. So that's a pretty good run, I would say. And you can see, collections that are, about that long for the original 13 colonies because of the early state records collection. And then the reason why the collections extend to the 20th century is the Center for Research Libraries donated all of their, state, House, and Senate journals, in some cases legislative documents. So we really have a complete collection of this stuff. There are some gaps, which I'm actively filling in. I noticed some in Minnesota, so there was a law firm closing, so I went up and got those books, and they're scanned in right now. But it's a pretty good collection. It really, really is. So if you need that stuff, if it comes up, I know it wouldn't come up often, but if it does, we do have it. We also have an extensive collection of judicial nominate reporters that goes for federal and then applicable states. So you can see representative collections like this on the federal level, New York, Pennsylvania, and then some of the other older states I think have some, like a handful of nominates too. But we do have those online, and I know others do, but we try to make our collections kind of complement the other ones. So if I see that another database doesn't have a nominate, I'm going to prioritize that over one that has already been digitized by somebody else. And then I kind of got ahead of myself earlier. Another thing I want to go over is our foreign law collections. We've made a big push in the last 5 years to really increase our coverage in certain countries, specifically Latin American countries, and that is with the help of the Library of Congress. We have a deal with them. They're currently in a years-long deduping project. So they're discarding duplicate copies, and we have right of first refusal for all of those. So, of course, I wish we could just digitize the whole Library of Congress. That would be amazing. But we at least get their duplicates, and that's led to some pretty interesting collections. So for Argentina, we have a bunch of federal Argentinian documents, and then things on the state level too. Codes from Buenos Aires from the 20th century. I say let's just go ahead and look at one of those for the heck of it. Here it is. Various other materials from Argentina. I showed you Mexico earlier. That's another good one. And then we have Uruguay, Costa Rica, all covered very well. And the same goes for many Caribbean countries as well. With our partnership, due to our partnership with the Center for Research Libraries, they really want to see a lot of those materials. So you'll see good collections with Jamaica, Barbados, etc. And this will be one of the last things I show you before I open it up to questions. We didn't used to have Germany in the top level collection tree. And the reason why we did that is because we have two large donations with German materials. One is from the Berlin State Library, and they digitized a bunch of treatises from the 18th and 19th centuries. They're wonderful scans, but they don't have a lot of metadata attached to them. So they kind of wanted to give them to us so we could reprocess them and then add metadata. So that's, the cataloging records, the abstracts. We also page tag everything in detail. Not everyone else does that. So we're reprocessing all of those, and it's thousands of treatises. And then the University of Pennsylvania Biddle Library had an amazing number of German doctoral dissertations, and they donated all of those. So we're just chipping away at those as we go. And I can show you some of that stuff. If we just go into the collection tree. So these are organized by state. That's not the correct terminology. So this is from 1842. And this is one of the documents from the German State Library. I can't read any of this, but we do have it. Every once in a while, I'll get curious and start putting this into Google Translate just to see what it's about. What I've noticed is there are lots of books about taxes, and how we tax different professions and different things. Land. They were very, very meticulous taxers, I guess, back then in Germany. So that stuff is all there. And this is one of the dissertations that University of Pennsylvania donated. Again, also in Proctor, that's an old German typeface that's rather difficult to read. But again, these are all OCR and searchable. If you can search in German, they are there. Oh, and then one other quick thing, we did launch the Civil Rights Portal last year, and just to show you around that real quick, it functions like the Indigenous Law Portal. It's just about civil rights resources, and it's organized by Library of Congress subject heading, and you can use the navigation over here to the left. To get different resources organized by jurisdiction. And they're all right here. And once again, this is also being crowdsourced. So that's a pretty brief description of how to use LLMC, what we do, and the types of resources we offer. We have other very strong collections. Since the company was based in Hawaii, we have a lot of historical Hawaiian legal materials. There have been some issues regarding land in Hawaii, and there was a giant spike in usage on those, and some phone calls made to LLMC as a result of that. And that was kind of cool to see. But we just are really strong with historical, legal, and government materials. Are there any questions?
I have a question. Unlike Hein Online, NYLI members have access to the entire content of this website. There are no restrictions or excluded areas.
Great question. Yes, we don't really silo anything. So you have access to the whole thing.
Okay. And for Karen,
Yes.
how often, statistically, how often do lawyers at member firms have the wherewithal to go to your site, put in the login and password, and do the research themselves? Normally, I'm the one that thinks about it. If I do go to this site and I do the research, I don't just throw it back to them. Do you have any kind of idea as to how often lawyers do this on their own?
They've not done it very often in past. When I get questions, like you're on holiday or you don't have someone there, when we get questions from attorneys, either directly or through our librarians, I say, here it is, here's the link, here's what you would do, and send them screenshots. But now that Kurt is taping this webinar, we're going to upload that to our website and create a LibGuide, or expand the LibGuide, I should say, so that people can use LLMC directly.
I see there's a help button at the top of the screen. Is navigation and usage instruction there? Oh, tutorial.
Oh, I think this is the. Yes, this there's a YouTube video I created that goes over some of this stuff. It's rather brief, but it does give you some navigation tips and some other information.
And if I were to go to Karen or Emily and say, I'm looking for this or that, do you have in your collection, would you, since you're more familiar with what's on this site, would you pull it from this?
We can pull it from this and send it to you, and we'll charge, or we could advise you where to go and you guys can pull it yourselves, either way you like.
Right. And I noticed that there's a lot of overlap on the scanned material, the historical material. There's overlap with what's in your physical collection.
Right. Right.
You know, the crumbling things that disappear when you put them on a copying machine.
Right. Kurt, if you'll go back one screen, there were, okay, the third one down there, the third one down under tutorials. This is an earlier webinar that Kurt had done.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yes. Anyway, so there'll be more of those available.
Yeah. All right.
We, I don't think I mentioned this, another large contributor to our collections is NYLI. So when they had to move, we ended up selecting books from the floor that was kind of going away. So
you lost the second floor?
From NYLI, the 8th floor and the 10th floor. We gave Kurt a whole bunch of stuff, over 1,500 boxes of archival material that we didn't have room for and weren't going to keep. And Kurt got first crack.
Thanks.
Yes, so if there's something you once saw physically at NYLI and you're wondering if you're seeing it here, that's definitely possible. You know, I was a reference and research librarian for a long time prior to this. So if anybody does have any questions about our content, or, you know, if we have something or are about to get something, just feel free to email, or you can even text me on my cell phone. I don't care. My email is kurtm, KURTM @LLMC.com. And I, you know, once again, don't mind questions. If I did, I chose the wrong line of work. So please fire away. I've been doing this for a while, so I kind of just know off the top of my head what we tend to have. So feel free to use my knowledge to save yourself some time if you can. Well, it was an absolute pleasure. I want to thank everybody for coming today, and it was nice chatting with you all. So,
thank you, Kurt.
Thanks, Kurt. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will let you all go. I am going to go have lunch and enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye. Bye.
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 Bye.